In this lesson, we're going to talk about intermittent fasting. First, what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is a type of fasting that's practiced only for a couple of hours each day. The absolute minimum that you can practice is 8 hours per day. That, for example, let's say that you eat your dinner at 10 p.m., okay? Then you go to sleep and you wake up in the morning and maybe you decide to have breakfast at around 6 a.m. Okay? This means that you have fasted for 8 hours. If you do this daily, it's called intermittent fasting. That's an important point to make. Intermittent fasting is done on a daily basis. It's also the most efficient way to lower blood sugar and ensure effortless weight loss, even if you don't do anything else but this. Okay? It also ensures great flexibility when it comes to time, because let's face it, maybe in the morning you don't have time to prepare your breakfast, maybe you're in a rush, but if you implement this daily habit, you won't have any problems with sustaining it over the long term, even if you were talking about longer hours, such as a 12-hour period or 16-hour period and so on. This ensures flexibility from a mental point of view as well, because you're not so stressed out all the time that you should be eating, that you didn't eat today, and so on, because you know within yourself that it's okay if you haven't eaten yet, because intermittent fasting has only tremendous beneficial advantages. So let's go deeper into how it's done. Intermittent fasting starts immediately after eating dinner or the last meal of your day, and it ends in the morning or at lunchtime when you have your breakfast. That's why it's called breakfast, right? It's breaking the fast. This took me a while to realize. So depending on your will and possibilities, you can perform as little as 10 hours or even 8 hours, as we mentioned before, even up to 20 hours. However, I don't recommend you go that far, because this can lead to hormonal imbalances and other unpleasant consequences. That's why I would recommend you keep your intermittent fasting between 12 and 16 hours. For example, let's say that you have your last meal of the day, for example, dinner, at 8 p.m., okay? Then you go to bed after a couple of hours and you fast until the second day at 8 a.m. Maybe at 8 a.m. you're already at work and you can eat there your breakfast, okay? So this is an example of a 12-hour intermittent fasting. If done on a daily basis, it becomes easier and easier to sustain as your body becomes accustomed to this daily program. There are a couple of essential guidelines that I would recommend you remember when practicing intermittent fasting. First off, you need to ease into it. This is a habit like any other, and this needs you to adapt slowly and safely. Okay, so don't jump on the bandwagon and expect that you will want to fast for 20 hours a day. It might be possible, but you might be hurting your body a lot. So that's not what I recommend. I recommend you start with the minimal hours possible. That would be 8 to 10 hours, depending on your will and possibilities as well. And gradually, as you become accustomed to it, gradually increase the number of hours you're fasting on a daily basis. During this period of fasting, you can freely consume water or unsweetened tea, even coffee, although I don't recommend coffee because it can lead to blood sugar lows because of the adrenaline that's produced because of the coffee. If it's too challenging, try to do a fat fasting, okay? So not just water fasting, which is a bit rougher. Instead, employ fat fasting. This means that you can consume coconut oil or butter during this period. Eating fat won't stop your intermittent fasting, because fats, when absorbed, they don't influence blood sugar levels or insulin levels. That's why I would recommend you put them in your tea or in your coffee or whatever else you're drinking. Obviously not necessarily in water, but they are indeed delicious if you put them in your coffee worthy, and they make them much more tasty and much more, they have a richer texture. Okay, so this ends our lesson on intermittent fasting. I strongly recommend you start practicing it on a daily basis, and you'll be very surprised of the massive benefits that you'll have, both for weight loss and lowering blood sugar levels sustainably.